Hi, it's Paul from Model Builder International. Don't forget to subscribe, the button's down there. That'll get you notified of future reviews, build videos and competitions. Today we're going to have a look at a new kit from Platz. This is a 1/24th BMW M3 GT3. Okay, so let's have a look what we get in the box. Start with, we're going to look through this Platz kit. BMW M6 GT3 won the 2016 Spa 24 Hours race, and there's also a detail up parts set with it as well. So what do we get underneath the box? On the ends, just a few photographs of the kit. Painting guide on here. I think that's Mr. Hobby numbers. There's no English on there, but you can work it out from the Mr. Hobby numbers. It's like Platz have done this in association with NuNu. I've not heard of that company before. So let's see what's inside. So everything is bagged separately. All the tyres, some mesh in there. So as you'd expect, a pretty comprehensive decal sheet there. We'll have a look at that a bit. Instructions, black and white paper, usual fold out things that Platz do. Nice big diagrams by the looks of it. I'll go through all of these in step by step and have a look at them. Decal placement guide, painting, sprue layout. It all seems straightforward. So then what I'll do is I'll open all these up and we'll have a quick look at the parts. Okay, so start with, we've got the main shell. Yes, looks nice. Nice detail on there. Everything is in resealable bags, by the way. There's most of the suspension and drive shafts. Wheel hoops. Rubber wheels. Plus some mesh. And use those to attach them, I guess. We'll see. Some other parts of the body, the interior. Lots of detail interior of the doors, the frame, front and back, seats, and a roll cage. Some more bits here, disc brakes. There's parts there. Some chrome parts. Look quite nice. And all the clear parts, a big clear part sprue as you'd expect. So those look good. So what we'll do is, also, this is the detail upset. There's a bag with some pretty tiny little parts in there. Some red ribbon. And here we have, that's a photo etch sheet, and then we have here, looks like 3 decal sheets, so 3 extra decal sheets, and an instruction sheet, basically saying where all these parts should go, obviously, and yeah, so that'll add more detail to it. So what we'll do next is we'll go through the instructions and have a close-up look at some of the parts. Okay, so a bit of a quick intro because I'm not a sports car fan. So nobody's done a kit of this car before. This particular BMW M6 GT3 is based on the latest version of the M6. There's been previous race cars based on previous types of M6. And this particular one won the 2016 Total Spark 24-hour race, and also won other races in the VLN Italian GT Championship and the Super GT Championship. The intro to the kit itself, most of the text is in Japanese. There's bits and pieces of English, but it is obviously designed for the Japanese market. The one thing that you will have to pay a bit of attention to is the colours. They're simply called out in Mr. Hobby and Gunza Sangmo, basically testers. But it's just, there's no names in English. You'll have to use the numbers of the colours to work out which colours they all are. But other than that, it should be straightforward. The diagrams are really clear. So if you've got a couple of kits underneath your belt, you shouldn't have any fault. You shouldn't have any. In step one, we start with the chassis assembly. Basically adding the front wheel wells, disc brakes, and looks like the front steering rod. Then we move down the page to steps 2 and 3, which is basically assembling the radiators. On the next page, step 4 has us add the 2 radiators that we built in steps 2 and 3. Step 5, go to the rear of the chassis and add the rear axle. And then at step 6, we start putting the interior, the cockpit assembly, driver's seat, and some other internal parts. Step 7 has us put the roll cage together and also putting the dashboard together. And then attach the two. And then down to step 8 where we attach basically the roll cage dashboard assembly from step 7. We attach that to the cockpit assembly, basically building the whole interior. Step 9, pretty simple one, just adding the sidewalls to the interior, basically the insides of the doors. Then down to step 10 and we attach the complete, interior assembly onto the top of the chassis. Step 11, we're adding the wheels with the rubber tyres on them, and also adding the rear disc brakes and shock absorbers. Maybe you'll probably might do that later. Then down to step 12, we're adding the front bumper, and there's some chrome parts and clear parts to go in here. And then step 13, where we're just basically assembling the front window, just putting the windscreen wipers and a few other small parts onto the front window. Step 14 is all about clear parts, fitting pretty much most of the clear parts to the body shell, and adding some mesh at the front of the vehicle as well. And then we move down the page and we see there's some decals that we need to put on the clear parts, on the inside of the clear parts before they get fitted. There's also looks like a layout for the mesh there, a template to cut it. And then right at the very bottom there's part 15, step 15, where we're adding a few small parts, there's some chrome parts and some of the mesh that we've cut out earlier onto the inside of the body shell. Then on the last page, step 16, we're putting the body shell onto the chassis that we've made earlier. And at the bottom, step 17, just attaching the rear spoiler. And then that's pretty much the building part finished. So paints and decals. I mentioned earlier there's no names for the paints, just the reference numbers for I think 2 or 3 different manufacturers. The vehicle is mostly white. I'm not so sure. Personally, I kind of like it when, if I'm painting white, the plastic underneath isn't white, so I can make sure I've got the coverage right. But maybe a grey primer will sort of solve that one. And the decals, there's plenty of decals here to keep you busy for quite a while. You also have decals to actually make another vehicle. The vehicle that won the race was number 99, but you also have decals to do number 98. But there's, like I said, there's plenty of decals. They look very nice, and the decals will keep you busy for quite a while. Okay, one extra I'm going to cover in this review is the detail upset, which is available for this kit. You saw it in the beginning when I opened it all up. So basically what you get in this is 3 decal sheets and 1 photo etch sheet. And looking at the instructions, you can see the decals seems to be mostly, I think it's like a replication of like the carbon fibre parts, and they're mostly black. They seem to have a texture on them. And there you go, in all sorts of different places, radiators underneath the car, on the hood, various places all over. What you also get is you can replace the decals for the seat belts with photo etch buckles and some red ribbon. You get all sorts of photo etch parts to increase the detail. The disc brakes get some more detail. Windscreen wipers are replaced. There's some parts for the windows as well. So basically overall it increases the detail quite a lot and should do quite a bit to make the kit look a bit more realistic. So an overall conclusion, should make for a nice, very colourful kit, and the decals will make it stand out on the shelf. Build sequence seems reasonably straightforward, good diagrams, should be not too tricky to build. The decals will take a bit of experience to get to the hang of those, get them all lined up and get them all fitted nicely. Plenty of clear parts to play with. It just seems if you get the build sequence right for the painting of things, you shouldn't have any problems. Overall looks like quite a nice kit. Many thanks to Platz for sending it along for us to have a look.